All right, Hillary Clinton making a dire economic prediction yesterday if Donald Trump wins the White House.
Donald Trump's ideas about the economy and the world will cause millions of Americans to lose their jobs. He's written a lot of books about business. They all seem to end at chapter 11. We can't let him bankrupt America like we are one of his failed casinos.
Well, but critics say her own plan is no different than President Obama's plan, who happens to be, by the way, the first president to never see 3% growth in 7+ years. Here for a fair and balanced debate is Stephen Moore, Fox News contributor, economic advisor to the Trump campaign, and best-selling author, and Robert Wolf, Clinton supporter, outside advisor to President Obama. So, Stephen, did Hillary Clinton make an effective argument yesterday?
Well, you know, I kind of had to laugh when she said that Donald Trump was going to bankrupt the country. I think most Americans think that Barack Obama and Hillary have done a pretty good job of that already. They've run up the debt to $19 trillion and almost doubled the national debt in 8 years. So it's a little surprising that she says that Trump is going to bankrupt the country. By the way, you know, Brian, as you know, I'm working with Donald Trump. We have a tax and an economic and budget plan, and we are going to balance the budget within the next 6 or 7 years. We're not going to run up the debt by $8 trillion.
Well, someone's got to... Yeah. Steve, someone's got to address entitlements. I'm not sure anybody is. Let me get Robert in here. Robert, you wanted to take down Donald Trump, not you, but Hillary Clinton to take down Donald Trump. I didn't hear much positive from Hillary Clinton about what Hillary Clinton would do.
Okay, well, it's clear that some of the points she's making on infrastructure, advanced manufacturing, clean energy, certainly are going to bring jobs and better wages to the country. I mean, infrastructure is the fastest multiplier of GDP growth. For every dollar spent, it's a 1.6 multiplier. She's put out an incredible policy. I think you can see a real difference between the two. I mean, I like Steve. We're on the different sides, but he's a smart guy. I mean, for everything he can say on debt, I can give the argument on deficit. You know, Donald's plan brings a deficit to the country of tens of trillions. We just had a Moody's economist come out with a report that said his plan would bring us right back into a recession, bring unemployment north of 7%. And I think more importantly, it would actually hammer where he's talking about increasing debt. He's even talking about defaulting on debt. As Steve knows, no one has brought up the idea of defaulting on U.S. debt. Well,
Mark Zandi is a Clinton supporter, and he's with Moody's. But, Stephen, what do you say about that?
Well, look, listen to the things that Hillary talked about. By the way, it was about an hour speech, and she talked about 5 minutes about what she was going to do. Mostly it was an attack on Trump. But infrastructure spending, green energy, raise the minimum wage. Brian, gee, doesn't that sound familiar? It's exactly what we've done in the last 8 years. And it really comes down to the fact, I think voters, when they go into that voting booth in November, they're going to make this decision. Do I think the country's going in the right direction? And if they do, they'll vote for Hillary. If they think that things are, you know, have gone off track, and all the polls show that clearly, that by 2 or 3 to 1 margins, Americans think the country is going in the wrong direction. They see what's going on with 95 million people not in the workforce, with 40 million people on food stamps, with a real unemployment rate of 10%, with a $19 trillion debt. I just don't think Americans want more of the same, and that's what Hillary argued for yesterday.
And I think one thing is clear. One has been in business their entire lives. One's been in politics their entire life. So you can't possibly bankrupt a company if you don't own one, right, Robert?
Listen, there's obviously a difference between someone who's been in the private sector and someone who's been in the public sector. I think the experience the Secretary has had, as Senator and as Secretary of State, no disrespect to Donald Trump, but it blows away who's ready to be president. And if we're talking polls, I think actually the country came out saying that who's ready to be president, I think the Secretary was up by a 2 to 1 favorability. Although I don't look at polls because, as you know, Fox had Romney beating Obama in 2012. So, you know, I was the guy that backed Obama when he was at 1%. So we don't need to look at polls. Polls will go up and down and fluctuate. I think when we look at the plan and the economic policies between both sides, there's one that will bring unemployment back, there's one that will bring huge deficits back, and there's one that will bring wages down. And then there's one who won't. And I think that, as Steve said, we'll be able to make a vote. There'll be huge differences between the two.
And Steve?
Well, just look, this issue about whether Americans want another professional politician, they may, but I don't think so. I think the fact that Donald Trump is a successful businessman that actually has created jobs, something Hillary has never done in her whole life except inside of politics. I think that's something that it's why Donald Trump won the Republican nomination. People said, you know what, let's try someone who's actually run something. We've had a president now for 8 years who couldn't run a lemonade stand. And the other thing is, look, if you look at what's happened to job creation, if you look at what's happened to the debt, those have all run in a very negative direction.
That's just not accurate. I mean, please, come on.
It's been the weakest recovery that we've seen since the Great Depression.
Let's talk facts. Job creation, 75 straight months of private sector job growth, over 14.5 million.
And we all know worker participation, and we also know the economy is not growing. We also know that Janet Yellen is very concerned about the direction of the economy.
Everyone's concerned. No one's challenging that. We're concerned about the direction of the economy. But also, I was there the Lehman weekend. We know we were losing 800,000 jobs with the Republican president, and now we know we're gaining on average 200,000 a month.
Robert and Steve, thanks so much. What I think is fascinating, too, you have one person who's vilifying Wall Street and one person taking a lot of money from Wall Street, and that's Hillary Clinton right now.